You've been told you have insomnia, or maybe you just know something is wrong with your sleep. But here's what nobody tells you. Insomnia isn't one thing, it's a spectrum. And where you fall on that spectrum completely changes what's happening in your brain and what will actually fix it. In the next 11 minutes, I'm going to take you through every level of insomnia, from the mildest to the most severe, using the same framework sleep researchers use. By the end, you'll know exactly which level you're at, what's causing it, and what the science says actually works. Stay until level 3. That's where most people are, and it's the one that almost nobody understands correctly. I'm Mr. Owen Carter, and this channel exists for one reason: to give you the science behind your sleep problems so you can actually fix them instead of just managing them. Let's start with something important. The word insomnia gets thrown around constantly, but clinically it means something very specific. And understanding the definition changes everything. What you see is just the surface, I can't sleep. But underneath that are 4 distinct mechanisms that drive the problem. And they work differently depending on which level of insomnia you have. Let me show you each one. Level 1 is where most people start. You get into bed, you're tired, your body wants to sleep, but your mind won't stop. Here's what's happening neurologically. Your brain has 2 competing systems: the sleep drive, which is the accumulation of a chemical called adenosine during the day, and the arousal system, which keeps you alert and awake. In healthy sleep, by 10 or 11 p.m., your sleep drive is so high that it overrides your arousal system, and you fall asleep within 15 to 20 minutes. But in level 1 insomnia, your arousal system is overactive. It doesn't turn off. Why? 2 main reasons. First, cortisol. A 2010 study by Riemann et al., published in Sleep Medicine Reviews, found that people with insomnia have chronically elevated cortisol levels in the evening, the exact time when cortisol should be at its lowest. High cortisol means high alert. High alert means you can't fall asleep even when you're exhausted. Second reason, conditioned arousal. Your bed has become a trigger for wakefulness. Every night you've lain there unable to sleep, your brain has been learning an association. Bed equals stress, bed equals alertness. This is a classical conditioning response, the same mechanism Pavlov demonstrated with dogs. Except in your case, the bell is your pillow. Level 1 insomnia is the most common and the most treatable. The sleep pressure is there, the biology works. The problem is behavioral and cognitive, and that means it responds very well to the right interventions. We'll get to those. Level 2 is more disruptive than level 1 because it fragments your sleep architecture. You fall asleep, maybe even quickly, but then you wake up at 2, 3 or 4 a.m. and can't go back to sleep. This is where understanding sleep cycles becomes essential. Your sleep is not one continuous block. It's a series of 90-minute cycles, each containing light sleep, deep sleep, and REM. The first half of your night is dominated by deep sleep, the most physically restorative stage. The second half is dominated by REM, the most neurologically complex stage. By 3 a.m., your deep sleep is largely finished. You're in a very light stage of REM. The threshold for waking up is almost nothing. So what wakes you up? 3 main triggers. Trigger 1, cortisol. As I mentioned in level 1, cortisol starts rising around 3 to 4 a.m. to prepare your body for the waking day. In people with stress dysregulation, this rise happens too early and too sharply, effectively pushing you out of sleep. Trigger 2, blood sugar. If you've eaten a high-carbohydrate dinner, your blood sugar drops during the night. This drop activates your body's stress response, cortisol and adrenaline, to stabilize it. That stress response wakes you up. Many people with level 2 insomnia are not actually anxious. They're hypoglycemic at 3 a.m. and don't know it. Trigger 3, body temperature regulation failure. Your core temperature needs to reach its lowest point, about 1 to 2 degrees below your waking temperature, to maintain deep sleep. If your room is too warm, or if your temperature regulation is off, your body wakes you up as a corrective mechanism. Level 2 insomnia compounds level 1. Once you're awake at 3 a.m. and you start worrying about being awake at 3 a.m., the anxiety about not sleeping becomes its own physiological arousal event. Your heart rate goes up, your cortisol spikes further, and now you're fully alert in the middle of the night with no physiological pathway back to sleep for 30, 60, sometimes 90 minutes. This is the level that changes everything. And it's where over 30% of adults with insomnia end up. Chronic insomnia is defined as sleep difficulty occurring at least 3 nights per week for at least 3 months. But the clinical definition misses what's really happening. By this point, insomnia is no longer just a sleep problem, it's a neurological state change. Here's what the research shows. A landmark 2002 study by Harvey, published in Behavior Research and Therapy, documented what's called the cognitive model of insomnia, a self-reinforcing loop that makes chronic insomnia almost impossible to break through willpower alone. The loop works like this. You can't sleep, you become anxious about not sleeping. That anxiety triggers your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. Stress hormones flood your system. Your brain interprets this as danger and increases alertness, which makes it even harder to sleep, which generates more anxiety. And the loop continues, night after night, month after month. At the neurological level, brain imaging studies show that people with chronic insomnia have measurably increased metabolic activity in the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and hypothalamus during sleep, regions that should be largely offline during rest. Their brains are literally running in partial wake mode, even while technically asleep. This is why chronic insomnia sufferers often report that they were awake all night, even when sleep data shows they slept 4 to 5 hours. The brain was active enough during sleep that it logged those hours as wakefulness. It's not lying, it's experiencing a fundamentally different type of sleep than a healthy sleeper. And this is why the standard advice, just relax, try melatonin, have a warm bath, does almost nothing for level 3. You're not dealing with a bad habit anymore. You're dealing with a nervous system that has been trained over months or years to treat sleep as a threat. So what actually works? For level 1, sleep restriction therapy combined with stimulus control is the most evidence-based intervention available. You compress your sleep window, rebuild your sleep pressure, and break the conditioned arousal response. Uncomfortable short-term, transformative long-term. For level 2, the first intervention is environmental, not pharmaceutical. Lower your room temperature to 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. Eliminate blood sugar spikes after 7 p.m. And critically, if you wake up at 3 a.m., don't check your phone. Blue light immediately suppresses melatonin and spikes cortisol. The 3 a.m. awakening can be a micro-awakening that resolves in 2 minutes, or it can become 90 minutes of full wakefulness if you turn on a screen. For level 3, the gold standard is CBT-I, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. Multiple randomized controlled trials show CBT-I outperforms sleep medication for long-term outcomes with no side effects and no dependency risk. It works by systematically dismantling the hyperarousal loop at both the cognitive and behavioral level. There's one additional tool that the research consistently supports for all three levels, and it works by addressing the neurological arousal directly. Continuous low-frequency audio in the delta and theta range, specifically 0.5 to 4 Hz, has been shown in multiple EEG studies to entrain the brain toward sleep-ready states and to reduce the micro-awakenings that fragment your sleep architecture. If you want to experience this tonight, I've left a link in the description to an 8-hour session designed specifically for this. No ads, no interruptions, completely free. It's from Pure Sleep Therapy, and it's the tool I recommend to anyone working through any of the 3 levels we covered today. Next week we're covering why anxiety gets worse at night, the specific neurological reason your mind races the moment you get into bed, and the 3-minute technique that interrupts it before it spirals. Subscribe so you don't miss it. If this video helped you understand what level of insomnia you're actually dealing with, leave a comment below telling me which one. Level 1, 2, or 3. I read every single one. Sleep is not a luxury. It's the foundation of everything your body and mind do, and you deserve to actually get it. See you on next video.